Hello everybody, and welcome to my first video in a series that I'm going to be doing over Infinity the Game, where I'm going to talk about different units, where you can get the models that go with them, and then how you can use them in the game. So I'm going to be beginning with the BCA Magistrates from Vanilla Pano and Kestrel, but I want to just have a disclaimer that basically all of my opinions of this is going to come from how you'd play them in Kestrel, more so than Vanilla Pano. I think you probably have some other decent options for lieutenants in Vanilla Pano, and so I just feel like that's its main home is in Kestrel. So with that being said, let's start with talking about where you get them. So you have two options for where you can pick up sculpts for the BCA Magistrate. The first one that we see here in the picture at the moment is the one you get from the Kestrel Expansion Pack Beta, which is probably the one that most people get and acquire first because it comes in the box that also has Jackals that you use in the same fire team. So let me show you the other option now. You also have access to this one right here. This is the one that comes in the Kestrel Expansion Pack Gamma, which comes with a mix of units. They were kind of like one of the last rounds of sculpts they released with the main initial launch of Kestrel when they did their expansion sets. And so I like it too, and I have both of them. I like both the sculpts a lot. This is the one that's meant to be used to model the ones that have a multi-marksman rifle, which we'll get to when we have the profiles. And then the other one's really meant to be the one that has a combi rifle and pistols as its main stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual profile now. All right, so I don't know what you guys have as like a familiarity level with the game, those of you watching. So if you have any specific questions that I don't cover in the video, feel free to drop it in the comments and we can talk about it there. So I'm going to be talking about this assuming you're someone who plays the game or someone who's starting to learn about it and starting to kind of mess with the army builder and know kind of what's going on here. So we're going to start with talking about the basic stats and kind of my thoughts on them in the game in general. So you have a pretty average move stat of 4-4, but that's not what you bring this guy for, and so it's not a downside. You have average CC of 15. If you're getting into melee with this guy, what are you doing? You have ballistic skill of 12, average for Pano, but above average in general. You have a pH of 10. Sometimes you try to dodge with him if you are already in trouble, but at that point, you're probably out of luck anyway. He has a willpower of 13, decent. Comes up and being better than average willpower on your lieutenant roll, and then he's also a half decent button presser late game since he's a specialist operative, but we'll get to that. He has average defensive stats, I'd say for light infantry with armor 1, BTS 3. I'd say the BTS is actually probably decent. He has vitality 1, which you'd expect, and then silhouette 2, and then availability or AVA 2. That part's kind of surprising to me that you can actually take 2 of them because they're kind of a command option, so wouldn't be surprised if its AVA was only 1, but it's cool that it's 2 because it means you could bring like a lieutenant option and then also maybe a chain of command and have like a second fire team. I haven't tried to mess with that myself, but it could be interesting. So now let's get into the only piece of equipment that all these profiles down here have that's listed up here, which is the biometric visor. Since he's a good lieutenant option, him having access to that to help protect him from impersonators is pretty good. Now the skills you have for the BCA Magistrate, the first 2 are probably the most important, but they're all relevant. So you have the counterintelligence, which makes it where your opponent is unable to strip a full 2 orders from you. They'd only get to strip 1 whenever they try to spend a command token if you go first to cut down on your order pool. That's super good and very relevant in this army because I feel like you can be really order efficient. Also, another part of why the BCA Magistrate is so order efficient is that it has Fireteam Master Jackals. So when you put a BCA Magistrate as the leader of a Cold Corp fire team with the Jackals in it, those irregular 6-point Jackals get converted into regular orders. A 6-point Jackal is cheaper than a Flashpole spot. Need I say more? Very, very good at being order efficient and giving you a solid order battery to help you have enough orders to spend on your stuff that matters. So immunity shock, relevant in that the Magistrate doesn't go straight to dead if he gets knocked unconscious. It's pretty cool. And then also specialist operative. It's cool that no matter which profile you pick on the Magistrate, whether it's the 17-point profile or whether it's the most expensive, they all are some variant of a specialist operative, which means they can push buttons and they can help you do missions. So let's talk about the different individual profiles now and their other loadout information. So the first one we have here is the 17-point Magistrate with combi rifle. I guess maybe there's a world where you'd want to take it. I've never had a reason to, but if you're just looking to use it not as a lieutenant, but just as like a cheap link team filler or something like that, maybe if you're including it in a Finnick Fusilier fire team, maybe you'd use that one. I don't think you would though. Next up, we have probably the main bread getter and the most important profile for the Magistrate, which is the second one. That's going to be your 19-point combi rifle lieutenant that also has Strategos level 1. This is your guy who makes your order efficiency really relevant in Kestrel, because not only do you get the Strategos benefit of his lieutenant order being able to be converted, keyword able being to be converted into a regular order for his combat group, he also gives you these orders from the Fireteam Master Jackal's rule. So hypothetically, if you really want to think of it that way, he kind of grants you as many as 4 regular orders that maybe you wouldn't have if you chose a different profile to be your lieutenant. So for me, that's really important. Also, another benefit of a Strategos level 1, it means you get to have 2 reserve troops without having to spend a command token. Super good. I love that aspect of it, because that's basically, in my eyes, that makes me think of the Magistrate as being order efficient and command token efficient, which I think is just all upside. So I love using the Magistrate as my lieutenant. He's usually my lieutenant in almost every list I make, unless I'm just trying to use a super aggressive lieutenant, like maybe the Tick Blang. But honestly, almost every list I try to build with the Tick Blang, I'm just like, man, I don't want to spend 73 points on this model. So usually I just end up going for Magistrate lieutenant lists. With that being said, there is a couple other profiles worth mentioning, primarily the Chain of Command variants. The doubling up on the 2 types of specialists is not super relevant, other than the fact that it is Chain of Command. So if you do use one of those aggressive lieutenants, he's kind of a good fallback for you, so you don't go into loss of lieutenant. Even then, I probably wouldn't use these guys very aggressively. They're kind of probably good as a backup button pusher in some cases, so I guess that's worth mentioning. Your other main gun option you have besides the combi rifles are going to be the multi-marksman rifle variants. You have one for the lieutenant and one for the Chain of Command and the regular as well. You got a better gun, you're paying a few more points. I don't know if it's worth taking it over the combi rifle, to be fair, so for me, I usually just go for the combi rifle one and just cut down on some points. So, main takeaways, this guy right here, 19-point lieutenant, that's your lieutenant in Kestrel. It's probably a dead giveaway when that's your lieutenant. He's your only guy with counterintelligence if it comes up. So for me, this guy right here is super important. So you always have to protect him, and you got to know what you're doing with him, so you don't just get got and get assassinated by a drop troop on the first turn. Learned that one the hard way. So keep that in mind. If you have any questions I haven't talked about with the BCA Magistrate, we didn't go super in-depth on the fire team stuff. Probably save that for the Jackals video. So if you have any other questions, let me know. If you have any armies or any specific units you'd like to request for us to talk about, feel free to share it. Love to hear from you guys. Would love to get some conversation going and down in the comments, and let me know what you think. This was the first video. Let me know if you like the format, if it's okay, if you think it should be shorter, if you think there's any other specific things I should mention. Let me know. Love to hear some feedback. You guys have a good one.